Start.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and start since this is what we have tonight. We'll call the July meeting of the McCandless CAC to order. I just got an email just now from Matt. He can't make it. I got something from Tony a couple of weeks ago that he's not available either. So this is it. First up, approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any questions, comments, additions to the minutes? No.
No.
Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes? I'm not sorry.
Motion
Who's
to approve.
motion? In summer
I'll
mode.
motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I like to just skip a few steps. All right, project updates. First up, stream cleanup. Jack and Dawn, do we have anything new on that?
Yeah, so I was actually able to talk to a lady out on the eastern part of the state who has done multiple stream cleanups. She also does litter cleanups, roadside cleanups, et cetera. And what she recommended, she had a couple good comments, but Jack and I spoke. Is there anything we can do with that feedback? It's making me so
We're not getting feedback. It's just the volume is loud. So is there any way to turn the
Okay.
volume down, John?
I'm not entirely sure, honestly.
And your water stopped moving, Dawn.
So Jack, right, we were talking about potentially postponing this until sometime next year in 2023. You know, some things have maybe popped up, I guess, that Jack might want to be talking about with Wall Park, and maybe we might better be using our time and resources there this year and having our cleanup next year, because one of the other things, you know, now that everything's grown up, it's just really difficult to get into the sections of Pine Creek that we know need to be cleaned up. So again, even though the water levels are low and that's ideal, you know, it's difficult. So we're talking about pushing that into 2023 at this point.
You can't even get in there with the canoe. You could go from here to the desk there, and then you'd have to portage, and you can't portage it because it's so overgrown.
Yeah, yeah,
So
okay.
It's thick.
Then we want to table this then until maybe the first of the year, or you
Yes.
guys will work on it? Okay.
It'd be better to do it in a month that the foliage is down.
All right, so we'll start talking about it again in January or so, and
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
sounds good. Thanks for the effort you put in so far and for finding somebody to help you out. That's a good start.
But we could use those resources to do some work. I know Dawn's been working here over at the Rain Garden,
Mm-hmm.
and we could pull some resources and try to help her, because for some reason it seems like, and maybe Dave's helping over there too,
Mm-mm.
but it shouldn't be just one person. We should maybe get her some muscle.
Well, as it, that's next up on the agenda, so, so the update, I guess, once again, between Dawn and Dave.
Yeah, I haven't done anything. I know Dawn was over there for a day or two and made a little bit of progress by herself, but I don't think we've recruited an army of volunteers to help with that yet.
Not yet.
So do we have a plan? I guess you've just been up there and figured out what needs to be done. And
Yeah,
now it's of finding people to do
Yeah.
that.
I went 2 different times and spent roughly, you know, an hour to 2 hours each time, and just sort of got a feel for what we were dealing with. And you know, it went pretty well, the weed removal. I filled up 2 cans very quickly both times. But in order to really get it all done and get it all done quickly, we do need to, I think, schedule an event. Now, to piggyback on something that Dave had mentioned previously, and then it came up in a conversation that I was having with Jack, and I think he was in favor of this idea. We talked about maybe using this opportunity to schedule an event at the site of the rain garden, have it be a workshop kind of an event, invite folks out who we can have the working part of it be the second half of the workshop. The first half could be, come and learn about native and invasive plants in your area, things that you might want to remove from your landscape, things that are good to keep in your landscape and why, because there's such a wonderful variety of weeds up there in the rain garden, and then also some good stuff. We thought that might make a really good, area that we could use to educate. And then, like I said, maybe on the second half of it, anyone that wants to stay and help can help volunteer. And then we could maybe have like a scout group or something lined up, or some other type of group lined up to also lend a hand cleaning up. I know Jack has some folks in mind maybe that would help. I have a few folks in mind that I could try to recruit. So hopefully we could at least get enough hands out there that we could, make a significant dent,
Mhm.
get it looking good again. And so taking that opportunity also, to be honest, to throw in a little bit about the watershed and, what the benefits of a rain garden are and why you want to hold back, water and sediment and that sort of thing, and how it, in our creek, one of the, the creeks right there behind it. So it all sort of, it would make a really nice location for that. So we were thinking if that's something that we wanted to do, I could fill out the form we need to fill out, but we would probably want to schedule that for sometime in August. I could be ready to do that even at the end of July if we wanted to, really, but maybe August, when it's hopefully the, evenings, early mornings might be a little cooler.
I think that sounds great. So you're willing to put that together?
Yeah, let me, if it's all the same to you guys, I'll probably look for a date in August, and it'll probably be, hopefully on a weekend. I was going to reach out to one or two scout groups that I knew to see if they were even interested and if they had an opinion about when they might be available. But I'm thinking August. It's just a great time. All the plants are blooming, and, they're all out and they're grown, and you can show people and they'll recognize things. And
Is that something that we could benefit by? There's a committee now similar to us that does events and
Activities.
activities.
Committee?
Ken, that's such an interesting point. And I've wondered this myself, when we do want to hold an event, should we be working with them to help get the word out? And
That's a really good point, because when I started as chair, it was, I think Kim Zachary directed me to get in touch with that committee just for that reason. So our speaker series, any of those types of things we could look at doing together. I never got any response. I reached out and got nothing. So that kind of went away.
But they might have different folks now, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Well, Trish Clinton is responsible
Mhm.
for that. But
Oh, it really? Okay. Actually, I think she's isn't she the wife of a rowing coach? I think she's my,
She's involved with rowing.
so
yeah.
I think she would really embrace this
I
concept.
could try to badger her.
Please do.
Okay. Let me make a
Yeah.
note.
Heritage Center, which is under her tutelage, gets the direct benefit if that area is
Oh, yeah,
clean.
Oh, so
So-
the activities group has the Heritage Center too. I always get confused about who does what.
And the Heritage Center would be maybe a good resource there. Abby LaCosta, who manages that, is always looking for things to do. And
Okay.
they could make it an event, they could advertise it, they could get the word out, they could get people to show up so that we could teach them about, I can't, but maybe somebody here can teach them about rain gardens and give them some practical hands-on experience.
Yeah, not so much we're not going to teach people so much how to put in a rain garden, but we can talk about what the benefits are. And I'm more offering to give an education about the plants, the native and invasives. That's my wheelhouse. But
I think that's great.
Don, is it too dry to pull weeds in August?
Oh, that's a good point.
Well, that is a very good point, Dave, and that's another, I sort of hesitate to move it into the fall though, because then we get into the community days and then the litter cleanups in October, and I don't want to steal people from you. Maybe we could think about mid-September after community days or but if it's after a rain, if it's rained anytime within the last couple days, it's not too bad. And I tell you, most of that stuff is under a fairly decent tree canopy, so the ground is not super dry. It's actually the soil that you're yanking the weeds out of is really nice and loose and loomy, and they've really got nice stuff in there. You can't see it for the weeds, but once you start getting them out, you see that there's really nice ground underneath there and some rocks and so it looks better now that I've gotten some weeds out than it looked when we first, went and looked at it. I was thinking like, boy, this is really in bad shape, but there, it's once we get the weeds out, I think we won't have as much repair work to do as we were thinking.
This might be a pretty big stretch, but I would think that any fire department would welcome the opportunity to teach people how to use fire hoses. So maybe they could go do some practice activity right before we happen to pull our weeds.
Well, is there?
I love that. Of course, the fire company would go do that for us, even if they,
Was that a better rate on garden?
Well, if you do it back far enough, a fire hose isn't as, they can control it.
Okay.
But, it's true, the ground, I mean, like in July and August, it's not my favorite months to weed, but I still do it. And, but definitely if it's after a rain, it's always pleasant. to weed.
Different things that are not, they've missed.
Yeah.
They just want to miss.
Okay.
Okay, so these are some great suggestions. Do you guys want to think about doing it in September versus August for the reason that the ground just might be a little bit more hospitable to weed removal, or should we stick with August because we're
Let's stick with August.
Yeah, stick with August.
okay?
Let's see how we can pull this together. This is I don't think we can do this under any of our other projects. We can put a quick project form together and get it to council. I can help you.
Yeah, what's the timeline or the deadline? Like, how quickly do I have to get you that form, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, council just met this week, right?
Right.
So we got
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So that'll be
Okay,
22nd.
that's fine.
Um,
I'm good with shorter deadlines.
It doesn't mean we can't be working on, getting things set up, because it's normally just a formality.
Yeah, if council met the 11th, Monday, the 11th, the next meeting is Monday, the 25th, right?
Thank you.
Second,
Okay.
second and fourth Mondays.
Okay. And then maybe just real quick here, looking at my calendar, like I said, I'd want to check with the Boy Scouts, but I'm thinking maybe the weekend of the 27th, 28th, or the weekend before that, the 20th, 21st, either one of those. That sounds, anybody has any thoughts there?
Did you hear the rumor that Garden in the Park might be that
Yeah,
27th?
Saturday, the 27th might be the Garden in the Park.
Okay, good to know.
So maybe we
Stay away
try
from that.
20th?
Saturday, the 20th is open. I
Okay,
mean, for me, for anyone.
okay.
Yeah, I would be available that day. I'm not on the 27th. But. And we'll go ahead and start with that and see if we can pull it together that quickly.
That sounds real good.
So Don, your audience would be adults plus some Boy Scout bodies, hopefully, to.
Yeah, I think, we'd sort of market it, so to speak, to homeowners, learn about plants you want to keep or remove from your
Okay.
residential landscape. And then, like I said, sort of we can stage it so that like maybe that's the first hour, and then we can maybe have the Boy Scouts, unless they say they're, super interested in hearing about the plants, and they want to come, which I doubt. So we could maybe then have them show up like an hour later to actually get started on the weed removal process. Cause by that point we'll have, talked to everybody. We'll walk from one end of the rain garden down to the other end, talking about the plants that we're coming across that are both good and bad and why that is. And then anyone that's going to stay and help, hopefully by then I'll be able to say, okay, go pull X, Y, and Z that I just, that we just, and I can show them again, but, then we'll go back and start removing some of the bad stuff.
You guys. Put her back to them.
Yeah. Well, and then maybe those of us or those that attend can help point out what needs to come too.
There you
Did
go. Because
when you-
that's, go ahead.
When you let them loose, you're still going to have to quarterback them. Even though you showed them, sometimes,
Yeah.
they're not experienced.
For sure. And another thing I think that would be great if you guys are able to be there to help, sort of quarterback and keep things moving too is people I think will fill up their canisters pretty quickly. And so just sort of helping to facilitate getting people's canisters dumped so they can keep on filling them.
And where do you dump the weeds?
Well, we'll have to work that out with DPW. What we'll probably have to ask Jeff to do is bring like a big, large dumpster canister of some sort. Right now, he's got a couple cans there for me, but if we're gonna have an event, we'll get many cans and a bigger receptacle to dump them into. I can talk to the DPW guys.
Yeah, they said at one time they said they had, kind of broken down trash receptacles or recycling receptacles that get stored over there that,
I know.
don't have wheels or whatever that they can bring over, kind of act as containers until between the rain garden and when they get taken away. So I think there's plenty of containers that they could provide. Yeah. Don, any thoughts on the knotweed? Is that what it's called?
Japanese knotweed. Yeah. So I would
about-
like, go ahead.
Remove it. I'm sorry, just talk about it or try to remove it or,
Yeah, that's going to be I think we'd have to see how many people we had show up. I'm definitely going to talk about it, but the removal of Japanese knotweed is a multi-step process, and we could maybe do one of the first steps during this workshop, but more likely than not, we would have to focus on that I think at another time. Plus, there's a lot more of it than what is just right up there against that UPMC workout thing.
right? Don,
there-
if you haven't been by that lately, there's, that has been cut down, about half of that.
Good.
cut
Oh, good. They
down.
cut it back.
It looks like it was cut back. I don't know if it was, Jeff would have to probably tell you what exactly they did.
Yeah.
I don't know
And
if they did.
that's, to your point, I also wanted to talk to Jeff about what our knotweed management policy currently is. And, maybe they already have a plan for that. I'm not sure. So,
Right.
But with the knotweed, because most of the knotweed patches aren't just on McCandless property. So they'll just mow them because they can't actually control them because of the adjoining landowner owning it. But what I've heard, what the Conservancy does with it is they cut it down in June, and then in August, they spray it with what comes back up with Roundup.
Yep.
And that seems to be their control mechanism for it. And
you're right. Yeah.
they've experimented with it a lot of different ways.
I'd be curious to find out, how the town's handling it. I know some townships tend to spray a lot when it flowers, and that's actually completely ineffective, and then it harms the bees. So I am curious to talk to Jeff about, how they treat it here. I know we have a bunch of it down by Vestal, and I've seen them cut that back. But yeah, I really don't know what the full maintenance plan or eradication plan is. Yeah, so I think that's another work day, another session for the knotweed, but if we get a great turnout, I can make sure we're prepared to have some of the tools we need to maybe, sickle some of that down and mow some of that down if that's what we need to do, but if they've cut it back already, DPW, maybe we can, see what their plan is.
Yeah, you might have to drive by and look at it. It looks like it was kind of half of that hillside has been
Okay.
either cut back or treated. I'm not sure, but that's an excellent point, just to connect with Jeff and see what their
Yeah.
protocols are for that.
If you cut it in June, you can usually use a weed whacker.
Yes,
When you get later on, it gets harder.
right, it gets real woody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just cut, like, it was actually just today I noticed that it was chopped down, so I think it's very recently has been attacked.
Interestingly enough, there's like a lot of interesting things you can do with Japanese knotweed, including you can eat it, but it's so invasive. And it's actually been outlawed in England because home insurance will no longer insure homes where knotweed's present because it destroys foundations. It's done so much damage in England. So
Really?
it's a dastardly little plant. I'll have all my facts together when we have the workshop, and I'll throw it all at you. But I had done some pretty extensive knotweed research for one of my watershed projects. So at one time I had those.
That
Some
sounds
of
like
those cool things you can do with knotweed, including make jewelry and
Hey.
wacky stuff.
make frayed knots,
What's that?
make frayed knots.
What's a frayed knot?
It's not weed. I thought, never mind.
Oh. It'd be great if you could make wine out of it, but I don't know about that. I'll have to research that.
Not wine.
All right. Well, that sounds great. So let me know if I can help you with the form. We'll get that together. I'm out of town most of next week, so within the next day or two. Or yeah, it's not a difficult form.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll get on it sooner rather than later, just so I can get that to you and
Yeah.
You might want to,
figure out where our holes are in the
No, we
plan.
Well, we send it on to Dave too, if it's next week.
yeah, what do you think about refreshments or water, or I'm
Definitely water.
providing?
Definitely, yeah, definitely water. And does anybody have my bug spray, by the way, that I left at the litter cleanup? No big deal if you don't, but if you do, I'll bring it to the cleanup. But having some bug spray on hand, if depending on what time of day we're doing it, and we can talk about refreshments, but water for sure.
I'm just thinking that form asks for if you need funds, if you're looking for funds. So,
Oh, so I thought that form was for any project that we wanted to do. We had to get like formal approval from the council, but you're saying
Yeah.
this is just if you want to spend money.
yeah, both.
No, it's just I don't, does it have anything about funds?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the main
does it?
reason why they created it.
Oh, okay. I guess everything I filled out had no financial things. Okay,
There's money in the litter budget if you need, a few $100s to buy
well, and
stuff.
I've always been told we have
Petty
a
cash.
small budget to use. Shelley?
Well, I do want to spend our money, but not on this so much. We'll get some water. But I do want to talk to you guys about spending some money maybe on our community day giveaways when we get to that on the agenda.
Okay,
So before you go giving me too much money, you might want to hear what I want to spend.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that sounds great. Next up is the North Hills EAC event. I've been in touch with the EAC chairs, or at least a representative from Ross and Hampton, Franklin Park and Pine, and they're all very interested in doing a little social event. So I actually thank you, John, for checking on some dates of the pavilion here behind Town Hall. I've actually put 5 dates out to the different organizations in a little dual poll just to see what works. The dates I threw out there are, there's only one the first week of August. And it is the 3rd, August the 3rd, which is a Wednesday. The other 4 dates are all the last week of August, the last full week of August, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th, which is the Monday through the Thursday. So I put those out there. I've heard back from 2 Hampton reps and 2 Ross reps so far. And it's looking like that last week of August is most likely going to be it. So I will keep everybody posted on that, because my idea was to at least find a date that I could get one representative at least from each of those EACs. I told them their entire EACs will be invited, but I at least want to work around the chair's timeframe. And then the same thing with you guys, and then the invitation will go out to their entire EAC, our EAC, and we'll discuss. We'll have the same question for funds and refreshments. Because I do plan to, but I'm not planning on like a full cookout or anything, but at least maybe some munchies. But I figure we can talk about that next month. Come up with the details, and I'll talk to you. Same thing, Jack, we'll start thinking about how much money there is. I know at one time I had this discussion with Shelley, and I have to go see if I have notes. If there's, I don't know that there's a certain amount we have access to, but we are definitely supposed to have access to funds for small things like this.
We'll find you the money.
So that's always what I've kind of been told. So that the plans for that are underway. And like I said, it looks like it's going to be that 4th week of August. So we can discuss more details at next month's meeting.
In line with the EAC and what was that group that you have?
The activities,
Well, no, the whole group, all the EACs.
Doesn't have a name.
it doesn't really have a name.
Okay.
We're kind of,
North Hills EAC.
that's kind of what I'm calling it right now. This is our North Hills EAC social event.
All y'all EACs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All y'all EACs calling. There's a Chris Abel, and he is a councilman in Bell Acres, the borough of Bell Acres. And he's interested in talking to somebody about how our EAC was set up, and he'd like to get knowledgeable and see if he can move forward with Bell Acres. So if
Okay,
I could get you to call him, I'd appreciate that.
yeah, sure.
Oops.
Hey,
Sorry about
If
that.
you can give me his contact information.
412
Oh, you got it.
716 4082.
Okay. And really, I was not around when it was established, but I have a copy of I think the resolution that established this, and I can certainly talk to him about what we do.
Good. I
Hey,
appreciate
Judy.
Yeah.
Could you send, I've always wanted a copy of that resolution. I know it's on the website somewhere, but if it's no trouble, could you shoot it to me when you're shooting it to?
Yep.
And I sent you all you guys the link to that EAC network site where the videos were from that conference that I attended in February. There were also some PDFs, and there were some really great ones about, how to get an EAC up and running.
Okay.
How about I'll grab those and email them to you, because you might want to send them to that gentleman.
Thank you.
I'll make a note.
Okay. No, that's great. I know they have so many resources.
They do.
It's almost overwhelming. I've never dug as deeply down as I could, because there's just tons of stuff there. A lot of very helpful people. Okay, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you both.
No problem. Okay, so that's all I have on my event. Next, John, any details on the recycling tour? I know it's out there and it's scheduled for
Yeah,
the
second
21st.
Thursday, July 21st, 11 o'clock is the official start time. Erica with Waste Management just wants to remind everyone, if you're gonna go, wear like sturdy closed-toe shoes.
Mhm.
And as far as getting there, maybe carpool might be recommended. I
Right.
won't be able to go because we're installing new phones here that day, but
And,
this could be a good meeting place for people to get together. 'Cause that's what we
well,
did
I
last time.
know I can't go. I'm still out of town. Jack, you can't go either.
I may,
Okay,
my son and daughter-in-law will be in town and they're leaving that day, but I don't know
Yeah.
if they're leaving at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m.
understand.
So if that changes, I'll let John know.
Yeah, I don't get back in town until Thursday night. So I don't know, do we know of anybody else on the EAC that's planning on attending that?
Yeah, for
You are,
sure.
Dave? Okay, great.
I'm a tentative at that time. I need to just work it out with work.
Okay,
And I did, well, I can tell you.
John, can you send us the address
Yeah, I'll say
for
that.
where that is?
so does somebody want to kind of take charge of collecting names and, I don't know, since I won't be there? Or does somebody just want to set out a time to meet?
Well, I'll be down, I'll be in Brighton Heights that
Oh,
morning
okay, so
anyway,
you're not meeting here.
so I won't
okay.
be meeting there, meeting here, but,
Is there anybody else from our council? I saw that you had one more RSVP. It was from, was that Ohio Township?
Yeah, Ohio Township be going, but they're really close to some.
Right.
And, I know there are at least 2 other people in here who said they were trying to make it, but I just don't remember who off the top of my head.
Okay,
I made the announcement at council
Okay.
on Monday night. If anybody who's interested, to please notify John. Also, I told Trish, our acting town manager, if she wants to send any employees to please contact John. So
okay.
we needed that.
oh, the rain garden's getting.
Yeah, I know.
USW doesn't come down to.
I hope it's raining at my house. Just because it's raining here doesn't mean that it's
Yeah, for sure.
It's raining at my house. I feel bad for the St. Alexis Fair, though. It started tonight
But you were at the, you know, it's raining at your house.
because I'm home.
Yeah, but your picture's at the shore.
That's a lie.
That's a lie.
We would never guess.
Okay. So thanks for setting all that up, John. I'm sorry I can't go. I've been looking forward to that, but we'll try another time.
That was an interesting tour.
All right, next up,
Yeah, I wanted to do it.
Ken, do we have anything new on Wall Park?
Jack and the guy from
MPC.
McCandless Sanitary, we walked it, and I think Jack has come up with a really good idea of how to potentially get the main trail in. We're going to be doing another walk with one of their engineers. And I think that we may be able to get in the main trail, which would be like fiber, from landscape cloth with the ground asphalt on top. And then that then gives us the ability to go after grant money, because you can't get grant money unless you've got something there.
Okay,
And so we'll be able to have that pretty much straight shot up the valley
okay.
between the 2 parking areas.
Mhm.
And then we can build out from there and put some loops and nature trails and stuff like that.
Okay,
And so that's in process.
It's an amazing piece of property. 60 acres of just beauty, and it's just untouched.
Mhm.
So trails would be very welcome there. I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Any way
definitely.
you can get through it.
And then that, of course, stops at the very top of Highland and Harmony
Mhm.
roads.
Mhm.
So people can walk the asphalt until we can work with property owners over the years and try to improve it. And then that'll take us all the way over to Potter.
That first part is tough.
Yeah, there's some legit, but
Yeah.
they'll be able to walk. All we have to do is talk to the county to put in a crosswalk there. Second crosswalk over on West Ingomar Road already exists.
Mhm.
It'll get us all the way to Potter.
Okay.
What's happening with the corner of Highland and Harmony,
That's the town dump site.
the town's dump site?
So
So all these bushes are gone from up front.
Oh, they're over
there.
there. So that's not you're not planning to close that down or?
I don't know what the long-term
Oh, okay.
idea is for that.
that's one of those things that has a perpetual 2 more years. And that there's areas there that people can that we can make for people to park at that end and so forth, so. It'll be a nice straight shot through trail.
Yeah, well, that's what made me ask, is because you had mentioned that as a kind of an endpoint of that, so.
There's only one real crossing from Sloop Road up that becomes, I think, the EPA concern. That's where we're taking the engineer out. But there's a couple real, very small streams that come through. But we can make just a trail like Rachel Carson. You have to go through. Pardon me? Yeah, by stepping stones.
Up there, yeah.
The real challenge is going to be at the lower end, which is why we're coming in Sloop Road, because if you come in from where the parking lot is at Wall, it's wetlands. So we may have to traverse the other side of the hill and then come up a little bit and then cross over, which is doable.
This is the wrong time of year to go through there. But we'll go
Yeah,
through there.
because is it knotweed or stiltweed?
Stilt grass, Japanese stilt grass.
Stiltgrass. You call it knot, he calls it stilt.
No,
No,
Uh,
it's totally different plants. There's a lot of invasives from Japan.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Still,
honeysuckle, barberry. It's a Japanese barberry. There's a whole bunch of bad ones.
That's a bad one?
Oh, it's horrible. And you know, Jack, I noticed that it's at the end of Oak Ridge there in the real pretty plantings that they have. And I wanted to chat you up sometime about maybe convincing you to have the homeowners association replace those sometime and get rid of them. Because if you go on Blind Trail at North Park, it's one of the best examples I can show anybody of the damage that Japanese barberry does. I'll try to get a picture for when we do the workshop to show folks how bad it is that we can pass around. But the whole under canopy on that trail is just filled with that barberry. And even though they send groups in every single year to remove it, you know, you only get so much of it removed, but the birds eat the berries and then the plant spreads all over where it's not supposed to, and it completely takes over the understory.
I may have barberry in my front too, so.
I have some, I yanked it out of mine. I only just got it out last year. I mean, it's just one of, you know, it's a project.
You get me educated and I'll do my best.
it's a
Well,
couple hundred-
come to my workshop in August and, or, yeah, no,
Well, I
I'll
hope
teach
you
you.
get me up to speed before that.
it's a couple hundred acres of it in North Park.
Yeah, it's a horrible situation in North Park. It's a great example though, of like how it can get out of control but we'll just start teaching people. They've actually outlawed it, I think, here, right? And I think it's not allowed to be sold anymore or something, or
Most of the lawn and garden centers won't sell it anymore.
And I
Yeah.
think the state actually is going to ban the sale, but I think it's
that,
like,
okay,
so.
yeah.
Like to add a little bit more to Wall Park. Wall Park there's a grant out there for us to improve Wall Park proper, you know, the baseball fields, et cetera. So, but it wasn't enough money.
Mhm.
And we had a problem where we didn't have enough money to finish Devlin. So the additional monies, not the grant money, the additional monies that we were going to put to Wall to get it done this year, we took the additional town monies and we moved it over to get
Back there.
Devlin done, because it's been on the table for 4 years and it's fallen apart and it needs addressed now. So, but that's a good thing because because the MS4 and all the, you know, sediment issues and what have you, he explained to me how there's certain areas down there that we could probably improve. And we spoke to the town engineers about improving some of that stream along there, and they love the idea because we own the whole stream, so we don't have to deal with multiple property owners.
Wow.
And then we'll get the pollution credits that we have to have so many credits a year. So it all plays together to get us to help get that trail in. We'll get some environmental credits with the EPA or whoever we get it from. Who do we do?
DEP.
DEP. There's too many letters.
Yeah.
So anyhow, it's there's a lot to this, but it's moving forward.
Okay.
No, that's great. That's great.
And Jack, are you still thinking about where, I know you and Ken maybe talked about, there's an area that we need a concentrated litter cleanup, you think, inside Wall Park? Or was that the Highland reference that was made earlier, the dumping?
Well, we did, but, and not the Highland reference. I mean, it's that whole area, but I fear that we now face the same issue we did. It may be not quite as bad as Pine Creek, but we did find quite a bit of interesting litter, not as much as one would expect, but there is some litter that needs attended to. But I think the fall or spring would be more appropriate.
Some of it's behind a lot of really good brush right now. You can't get at it.
So is that something we should maybe think about doing next, like early spring?
Let's get the trail in, and then it'll be easier for people to access and stuff, because it gets a little sloppy walking through there.
Yeah, we have pulled, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 bags of bottles and cans out of there from basically where the, what's it called? The gate,
Federal access.
where that gate
Access
is,
to it,
you know, down in
That's the
there.
exact area I was thinking.
Yeah, but you go down in there and you could still see over on the other side of the hill, there's toilet and chair and all sorts of other stuff that have come down from the houses up on top. But yeah, you can get in there in the fall or spring, you know, and it takes like we're saying, a Boy Scout troop or Girl Scout troop or the Key Club or something like that to just kind of get in there.
It'd be easier to do once the trail's in.
Oh, easier once the trail's in, yeah.
Well, that can be for future stream cleanups. Stream cleanup number 2.
Guys, discuss the fixing that stream, so it's not just a stream.
Okay, anything
That's
else
totally
on our Wall Park discussion? I mean, if you have anything that's the sketch or anything to kind of, because I'm trying to follow where you're putting things, but just my curiosity. Okay, well, we could.
You know, Judy,
Right.
Jack offered to take me on a hike there to show me, and I haven't taken him up on it yet, but you know, if you're interested and or available at all.
Yeah, I would
if
like.
that- Something else.
I walked out with Ken a couple of years ago, but
Oh,
that was
okay.
to discuss where a trail would go. He was just kind of showing me, we planted some chestnut trees back there.
Oh, that's right. You told me. Okay.
They're still,
And
they're
he fed
still.
them, he gave them
All
dinner.
right. But other than that, I have not been out there to look at a trail location, so I would love to have an
When you're ready.
opportunity to do that.
Yeah, let us know.
Happy
All
to.
right.
accommodate.
Okay,
Just wear boots.
Yeah,
no problem.
and tick guard.
Long pants, boots, and bugs.
And Ken, just one real quick before we pop off a Wall Park, and if this is better for me to email you about, I can, but are you worried about the stilt grass there? I know Jack had mentioned it to me. Do you feel like we might need to do a treatment of stilt grass to get to the litter? Or do you think if we just do a litter cleanup at a different time of year, we'd be fine?
This is more in the floodplain area, and that's not where the litter is. The litter is out by the road more.
Okay,
But there's a lot of invasives in there. That's in the long range plan, like there's a lot of bittersweet and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff like that to do, but that's off in the future.
okay.
How do we assess this and determine how much effort it's going to take, and how do we apply resources to it? And what I'm saying is, if we can assess each one of the invasive species and how long it would take, and then maybe we could work with different businesses. Say there's a business like F&B, and a lot of businesses now give employees a day to go do a community project. We can make it a community project and get somebody, I don't know, maybe UPMC with the hospital over here can send employees over, and we can just go in there and really do a human yeoman's effort.
Well, I think you make a good point. I think we would need to do like a bit of an invasives inventory, see what we're dealing with and what the greatest volume is, because like with stilt grass, there's a herbicide that can be sprayed that that can be used. That's not something we would necessarily use volunteers for, but like if we're removing bittersweet or multiflora rose, we're digging that out and cutting that back. So that would be a volunteer kind of activity. So I think we sort of have to do an inventory
And then
before
a
we can
plan,
really answer that.
make a plan of attack, get this stiltweed out. That way we can get to the other invasives and then
Yeah,
pull
I'd
that.
love to see, I need to take you up on taking a walk over there so I can, I'm so unfamiliar with what that looks like over there at all.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Now that sounds, we need to stay on that, Dawn. I want to do that too.
All right, I'll try to email us about that, but if I don't, maybe somebody else can.
Yeah, I'll try.
I'm gone the first week of August. Other than that, I'm all yours.
Okay. We've always said that about you, Jack. All yours. Just kidding.
John, did we see any of that stilt weed in the rain garden or not?
Still grass.
Not too bad. I'm not saying it's not there, but if it's there, it's definitely not one of the dominant invasives.
All right.
But the knotweed is.
The knotweed is, yeah. The
And
knotweed, the thistle,
A lot of invasives.
good bit of poison ivy. That's another thing I plan to, Jeff is getting me some herbicide and I'm gonna at least attempt as best I can to pre-treat a lot of the poison ivy before we do the workshop, but folks will have to be warned, and it's just
It probably
Western
takes
Pennsylvania, so
2 weeks for the poison ivy to die once it's sprayed. So
a good thing for me to keep in mind. So I need to get on that.
I'll go down and help you.
Okay, yeah, I need to follow up with Jeff. I don't know if he ever got back to me about getting me the herbicide. He said he would, and we just have to sync up
He
the
should.
logistics of how. I just need to go over there probably one day. Is he over
You're
at
right.
town hall generally? I mean, can I just show up?
No, call him. And he's all in getting you whatever your materials are. And you were on vacation, so I chatted with him.
Okay, yeah. I have to. We've sort of somehow lost track of each other. I need to reconnect with him.
You said leave it on the side of the building, or he said he would leave it on the side of the building.
I didn't see it. Like the cans were definitely there. I found them easily enough and I filled them. But I didn't see any herbicide. So I'm hoping it didn't walk off if he did leave it. Because it looks like the cans were left while I was away. And then, I did stop one time after I got back from vacation and filled up the cans again. And so, yeah, if there was spray, it walked off.
I wouldn't just stop in because he's all over the town.
Okay.
Call,
Okay. I'll call.
especially now with the roads being paved.
Got a whole list for him. Okay.
All right. We good on Wall Park then? Any other major project updates and discussions? I'm just going to throw in here just the overall need, and everybody here has projects, so this will be a future need, but definitely somebody to handle sustainability and that whole effort. I guess that's something we're looking into as we interview for openings on the committee. But that's one big project that should be up there that we don't have anyone to handle right now. All right, community outreach. We don't have Matt tonight, so I don't believe there's any update on the STEM program connections, unless you know anything about that, Dawn.
I don't think there's an update.
I don't think so either. Speaker series event, we do have that scheduled, the next one for September the 22nd. Tony is working with one of his professors from Pitt. It will have something to do with water resources. I haven't seen his title yet, but that is set up. I believe it's set up here and with Katie Coleman at the library. She's going to start working with Tony on publicity for that. So hopefully we'll see something there within the next couple of weeks. NAEC programs. Things have gone fairly quiet with Beth Dutton, but I did get information. And Dawn, I think you were copied on this last email from Mary Wilson, that they are going to do the, let's see, the riparian rough buffer, the whole streamscape program that they had with us last spring, and then it kind of went away.
Yeah,
They are doing this now with Franklin Park. They actually have a program that's, I guess she's getting ready to advertise it.
yeah.
Four classes for Big Sewickley Creek communities. Instead, McCandless will be invited as well. It looks like 4 evenings in September, and then a planning session in Lynbrook Park on October the 1st. So
Where's Big Sewickley Creek? or
I
whatever
think
it's
that's
called?
all up in the north,
Lynbrook, it goes through Lynbrook and
which is
Take
very
19.
northwestern part of Franklin Park. You're like up in economy almost.
yeah, as you head into Oakland.
Already-
Lynbrook Park's where they built the new community garden for Franklin Park that I heard you guys talking about at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh,
Goes
okay.
along Rochester Road.
Crossed.
Right.
It's a different watershed.
Right, yeah, it doesn't sound like a
It
McCandless
goes
watershed.
into Ohio rather than the Allegheny.
Okay. So
Trout stream.
I will keep everybody updated when they send us information. And if we can have, if anybody's from here is interested, I'll see exactly what she said. It's open to Big Sewickley Creek communities and McCandless. So it may just be something that we help with publicity. And maybe some of us can attend if we're available. But I'll keep everyone updated on that, but there's really not much for us to do other than me just staying in touch with Mary. And I think she wants to see how this goes. And if it goes well, she looking at maybe there, we could do something like that in McCandless with the same type of a thing with a planning session on one of our streams. I think we had talked about that early on along Pine Creek or something like that.
See, I
So
would be interested in doing it with some of the residents on Pine Creek, but when I talked to her about it, I sort of got the impression that or she asked me or tasked me to try to find a location near, along the creek there at Dublin Park. But I just don't know that, given the boundaries of the park and where the fence line is and stuff, I just don't know that we can really put a lot more trees in there than are already there. But she wanted to have like the use of the building to hold the workshops and things like that. And so we'd have to talk about where we could put something and how we could, like the logistics of it.
well, and I think that's probably how this went to McCandless, went to Franklin Park.
Franklin, yep.
Because they jumped out with a location and we didn't have anything right away that we
Yeah.
thought would.
We can, through our stormwater committee, work with you to get you a location, because we get environmental credits if we do that.
Right,
And matter of fact, they're gonna be doing a big one here in North Park coming up real soon.
okay. Well, if that's something you could be thinking about when you're working with them. that we-
Absolutely.
That we could potentially have the watershed folks come in and do an educational opportunity and then actually have some sort of a planting session in a creek in McCandless.
Hmm.
We just need a location.
And just real quick, here's the thing with the Watershed Association folks. So they can do like general community outreach and education, but they can't work individually with homeowners to put a riparian buffer in on their own property. So
I'll tell you what, I think Wall Park is perfect for this, Dawn.
okay, that would be great, but I would still like to, us as a group at some point, it doesn't have to be this year, it could be at some point down the road, but I would really love to try to eventually work with the homeowners from Oak Ridge up to Minor, because so many of them mow clear up to the edge, and there's, especially on the other side of the creek where a lot of them have recreational areas, there's a lot of potential for, plantings. But we would have to do that on our own without the watershed folks.
Well, but I think, wasn't their
You could.
initial thought was to have the workshop aimed at the homeowners?
It is, yes, and we can educate homeowners, but I'm talking about like actually like helping source trees for them and like helping go on site and help them if they needed help. Like that's something I would be willing to do, but like as an individual, but I can't do that as a watershed volunteer,
Well, and she also notes on here too, that there is no fee for this program due to grant funding, which we will need to recognize in the PR promoting the event. So
Hmm.
it sounds like this may also be grant dependent.
It is.
how-
Yeah, and that's why she was asking me about sites, because I think she has to have certain elements and, you
Okay,
know,
What's the qualification for a site? Is it a certain acreage?
I'd have to get back to her about that. This was several months ago that she and it came up in one of our watershed meetings that Franklin was doing this, and I said, can McCandless get on this? And she said, well, you'd have to figure out something and and I went down and looked near Devlin Park. I'll have to get the details off of her again. I forget, but I remember at the time thinking, not at Devlin Park anyway. I didn't think we could really make it work, but Wall Park might be a better option. But again, I think she needs a facility where she can hold the classroom portion of the program. I don't know. I got to talk to her.
okay,
I'll continue that conversation though, Jack.
We have lots of Little Pine Creek. I know a couple areas there, Gertie's Run, there's plenty of opportunity for us.
Okay.
Wall Park has the pavilions and things down at the ball field, so you have a place.
Right.
Okay, good. Let me make a note of that.
And it would help
So-
Japanese stiltweed if we had a canopy.
Yes.
so, well, it sounds like, it sounds like Franklin Park maybe will be the guinea pigs for this. And then
I'd like to go to it.
And right, and we can get whatever information we can, and then hopefully in the future, we can apply the same type of a program at McCandless. It just looks like it's going to be a little while before we work through that, but let's see how we can help them
Good find.
get this going, so. Okay, so that's pretty much the update I have on NAEC type programs. I know we had talked about some green space walks for the summer. It sounds like, Dawn, we've got quite a few other things going on, and
Yeah.
Well, can we sort of, I ended up at Potter Park in May because my son needed volunteer hours and
right,
this town was kind enough to help with that. So we ended up doing just a tiny bit of trail maintenance that day. And I'd be a little reluctant to take people through Potter Park right now without doing just a little bit of more trail work. Some
fine.
sections of that trail need a little bit of love and they need some poison ivy treatment as well.
well, we can keep that on our radar, maybe for next year. But you've got a lot of programs on your plate right now, so that's good. We'll hold that thought. Okay, next up is Community Day Winterfest. So Dawn, did you want to talk about, or you just mainly wanted to talk about funding? Or
A couple things. Yeah. So I don't, what have you guys done at the booth in the past? Like what would be the plan for this year's booth? Like step on everybody's toes with coming in with a bunch of ideas if like you guys already have a pretty solid plan.
But just one thing I do want to note, Don, they're not doing booths this year because of the construction of the courts down there. But
Oh,
because
okay.
we are a town board, they are going to do like an informational table. I think we can take one side of that. So we'll probably have a little bit more limited space. We can still do something there.
Okay, it's good to know. So we're not going to have as much area to like hang information or.
Right, but we'll have table
Okay.
space and all that other stuff.
So we
Okay.
can more have a few handouts and talk to people type of thing?
Yeah, which is most of what we did in past anyway.
Right. But I know we had talked about, I know at one point we had bat boxes, we had some other
And we still have, I think we
giveaway
still have
things.
some,
but-
I think we still have litter bags and I think we still have some of these bird feeders back there too. So those are always cute giveaways we did.
But like, how many do we have and how many giveaways do we usually plan to have or give away? Do we have any feel for what?
It's been so long and I only,
Honestly, not too many people took the stuff. At the end of the day, like,
Yeah,
we've had
it's,
one order of bird feeders since 2017. And
Yeah,
when-
we've had, like John says, we've had one order of litter bags, bird feeders, and they've lasted us probably 4 years, 2 events per year. So,
And it's been a couple of years. Everyone's forgotten, so we can give them away.
Yeah, we give them away, but, yeah, I'm definitely open to new ideas, Don, if you have something. But that's basically what we have right now are these bird feeders that you make out of the, liter pop bottle and then, litter bags.
Where'd you guys get those? I'm just curious, just for future reference, the bird feeders and such.
I think Jason made that order somewhere, but it was some online shop where they do that, probably like 4imprint or something like that.
Yeah, because I was doing some Googling to try to find out what other EACs, give away. And it wasn't as easy to discover as I thought, but I did have a couple ideas. But if we have some materials that are already in the hopper, I mean, we don't have to
But I'm trying to think, I know we don't really want to hand out a bunch of paper, but I know we had some sort of handouts. What did we have? I
Yeah,
can't
we had
remember.
A map of the green space in the town. The front had the map and the back had the kind of the key, the legend to each of those areas. We might have something about ticks at one time.
We had a bunch of materials.
There was the environmental checklist too.
What was that?
There was like an environmental checklist from several years ago too that we put out.
Does somebody still have access to that? Do we still have that or?
Still have this. All this, yeah, I still have all this. All the stuff can be printed, new stuff can be printed up too, so.
Okay. So something we might want to think about is we'll probably have to have printed copies, especially since we have limited space and we can't hang some of the information. But something that we might want to consider is creating QR codes and putting the information on McCandless and Me and giving people the option of scanning a QR code instead of taking a handout if they don't
Right.
want to take the paper. That might be a nice sustainable effort on our part. I can help with that. There's a website that creates QR codes for free, and then you just move it over and you attach it to your information. But they use them a lot up at North Park at Latotomy. I don't know if you guys have noticed the profusion of QR codes on the signage at North Park in the last couple of years.
I do like that a lot better than handing out a bunch of paper.
Yeah,
I don't know, think about that, how we can kind of combine those two resources.
so I would sort of like to add to the list of information we could pass out then, if you guys don't mind, is a list of invasive plants. It'll be some of the same stuff that I'm going to go over at the workshop. But PA has a great list of, invasive plants, so I can easily pull something together there from one of the PSU handouts. So I would like to do that. And then
About native plantings,
what was that?
native plantings, or we have our landscape planting guide
Right.
that that was in the calendar.
That's a
Um,
good, yeah. Is that something that would be useful to homeowners, or was that just for the planning? Like, is it? I never.
But it was initially requested for developers, but it can be used by homeowners as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the planting guide. So then do you guys cover invasives in that, or should I do a separate common Western Pennsylvania invasives sheet?
They aren't in there, and not even all of the landscape planting guides are native, but they're noted what is native on there.
It's just recommended plantings for different situations.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe I'll still put something together, and then something just about watershed knowledge generally, about our local watershed.
'Cause to me, I think what would be nice would be to have, I don't know, maybe one of each of those printed out. I know we're not going to have a lot of space, but it'd be really nice to have those just mounted on a board or something with the QR code for each one, so they can read it, and then to read more, they can scan the code and
I have,
figure it
pretty
out.
sure I know I have an easel somewhere that we could put a larger board and have
And
separate
I used to have access to
postings.
home core board to mount things on.
Yes,
if-
exactly. We could, yeah, I see where you're going with this. We could put something like that together. I'd be happy to work on that.
I'll have to see if we still have, because so many presentations now are not in person that I don't know if our office still has much of that board left anymore. We used to have tons, and I'd
Right.
always steal it for things like that, but
We use it for trial exhibits, so I steal stuff from work too. I can see if there's any good stuff that doesn't.
and I would even find scraps in the closets and stuff and take those.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be good. So I'll and then just some of the, I don't know, can we somehow put together like a handout that puts out a little paragraph about the different projects that we're working on, like,
And
you
that kind of leads me to the next item I was going to talk about too. I would like to come up with something like that that says what the McCandless EAC does.
so have you guys ever seen those word clouds? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say a word cloud? It's where you have an image and it's a bunch of words inside the image. Some words are larger and more bolded than others, different colors. And it's usually a collection of words that have something in common. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, something like that might be nice, that sort of highlight the, litter cleanups, stream cleanups, green space development, sustainability, some of the different things we do. I was playing around with that the other day in the form of a tree, and it looked pretty cool. And I unfortunately didn't save it to show you guys, but I could email it to you and see if that's something you like.
Okay, and the other thing, I know I've mentioned to several people, they'll ask me, what do you do in the EAC? I'd love to have my little canned sentences
Mm.
That
for,
would be great. And we
synopsis.
sort of need to have that for the booth, right? When people stop by and ask us what we do.
I hate to say like.
Do we have a mission statement?
Mission statement.
Do it.
That's sort of what I'm getting at. I think we should have some quick little blurb that.
The elevator pitch.
Yeah, elevator.
Elevator
pitch.
pitch, thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'd like some help putting together.
Okay.
I thought we had,
And of course, I would love it if we had a sheet about, the litter cleanups, what we've done in the past. We do them every year, twice a year, this time of year. So far we've collected X amount, this many volunteers, sort of brag on ourselves a little bit would be nice.
Because the reason I'm bringing that up, if you'd like me to segue, if you'd let me segue just a little bit of my next one, the North Hills Art Center program. That's what they're looking, they will provide an opportunity for a representative from our EAC to stand up and give a brief summary of what we do at their art show. And also have table, if we had a handout or two, we could leave them there. So I'm kind of looking at that for that program as well. So, and that actually will be July the 30th at the North Hills Art Center. That's a Saturday. That's when their big reception is. Saturday, July 30th, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the North Hills Art Center. And it says, we are happy to provide table space during the 3-week duration of the show for any handouts local EACs would like to share. EAC representatives may also say a few words to highlight issues townships and boroughs in regards to waste management.
In regards, they want us to focus on waste management.
That's what it
Right.
sounds like. So I'm looking at this again. So the gallery is open. So July 30th is pretty much the opening of it. The gallery will be open from August 1st through the 19th to display the art. So that's the time frame for there. And that July 30th date, I had penciled on my calendar from 7 to 9. I have something else later that evening. I can be there right when it starts at 7 till maybe 7:30. But if there's anybody else interested in going there as well to represent us, please let me know.
So they might want a little pitch about how, what are folks are using like bottles and cans and things like that to
Right.
create art. So how does that relate to what?
Well, I think
The
the whole
EAC
idea is
does.
just to bring, let's see, here's the flyer. And John, I know you had sent this out, you had publicized this for them a month or so ago. Maybe we need to do that again. But it's called All Bottled Up, Upcycled Art Show. It's backwards. Call for artists. North Hills Art Center would like to call attention to critical landfill issues that faces us every day. This is an opportunity to at least give those bottles one more go round as a piece of art. So the idea is to make art out of bottles. Each entry is required to make use of at least one plastic or glass bottle. So that's the theme here. And they have some litter facts on their flyer about plastic and the plastic waste and what little amount is actually recycled, and also glass, the same types of statistics. So I guess that's what they're looking for is that sort of information. I need to get back in touch with Kim and see exactly any handouts local EACs would like to share. Let's just say a few words to highlight issues townships, boroughs in regards to waste management. Okay. So maybe now that I read that, at first I thought she wanted us to stand up and say what we did. But now it sounds more like they want to know what the township does with waste management. So that's
Well,
not-
we have statistics on recycling, right? The towns,
Actually, we do very good as a town.
okay.
And we now have a glass recycling center in the back of this building.
Right. Okay, then I can get in touch with you, Jack, or with you, John.
John
to
has
get
the
whatever.
stats, but I think we were one of the best in the state
We've done pretty well. this year.
statistically.
Okay,
We're pretty-
okay, now I'll
pretty good
follow up with
community
that.
On that stuff.
Right?
We're a pretty good community.
So I'm sorry, Dawn, if I interrupted where we were going with
giveaways.
giveaways. I got a
No, I
sidetrack.
think we're good. I mean, I had some ideas, but if we've got stuff, let's go with that.
Don, at one time, we, very early on, we went to, I can't remember, Giant Eagle and maybe Whole Foods or something, and got them to donate the reusable bags, the bags that they sell that are like $1.99 or something like that. And they, gladly gave us 10 or 15 of those. I don't know if we maybe still have them. Maybe we don't. At one time, we kind of gave those away to people who would actually give us their email address to stay in contact or volunteer for something, sort of as a higher value prize than just a plastic litter bag or something else. That's another thing, if we can, that kind of ties into potential plastic bag ban that folks are talking about, and you're going to be using these other, the reusable bags at the grocery store. So, I mean, those were donated, so there's no cost involved or anything.
As a general rule, a lot of the companies, be it Giant Eagle, Target, a lot of the companies, if you go talk to them, they will support local community efforts. They have that in their budgets. So whenever you're doing something that you need a donation or even to some extent, small amounts of money, it is worthwhile to stop at some of these establishments, and they do have that based in their business plan.
Right,
used to
but I
be-
sort of don't want to just like stop in at random businesses, like who have we hit up before, who's given us stuff? But do we even need to do that right now? It sounds like John's saying we still have enough giveaways.
We don't have too
Stash.
many, we're pretty limited. I think we still have maybe one or two. So if there's anything, probably these types of bags would be a better thing to go out and get right now, if we wanted anything else.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear all that. What, how many bird feeders do we have?
We have a decent amount of bird feeders. I think we're good for the year on that, as well as the other bags. But I mean, like the reusable grocery store bags, we probably have one or two.
So that's, I guess, what I'm asking, like, are we gonna just go with the two different giveaway materials that we already have a cache of, or do we want to consider new giveaways? And if so, then we have to source it and all that sort of thing.
How about seeds like Latomi gave out in the springtime?
Well,
We-
I had reached out to Jason Singer. Somebody told me to email him to see what y'all had given out in the past. And that was one of the things he said y'all had thought about. That's definitely an idea. Again, like, where would we get them? We'd have to figure that out. We could ask the autonomy people where they got it, but Jason had also recommended tick repellent. I thought that might potentially be a nice idea. I thought we could give away little bottles of bubbles to the kids, if just because it's a cheap, easy giveaway, doesn't really have an environmental connection, but and then of
Unless they-
course, what's that?
Unless they drink it.
Yeah. And then I would really love to give away tree saplings, but that might be harder said than done. I know Pittsburgh's out of trees for the year. But I did want to talk to you guys. I had reached out to 10 Million Trees PA. I sent them an email. I'm just waiting to hear back. They partner with EACs among other groups. And so that might be something, probably not for this year, but maybe potentially for next year, we could
Tree
give away.
tree plantings are time of year dependent. You don't give away trees in August, they're gonna die.
Isn't the community day? It's in September. They can plant them 3 weeks later when it's the end of September. That's when you would normally plant a tree, right? Is it community day, September 15th?
If you keep them alive that long.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a tree sapling I still haven't planted from last year that's alive back here. I just keep watering it, but just an idea. Certainly not anything we have to go with. But it sounds like we have stuff for this year, so we don't have a lot of time, and I'm not interested in adding a
Well,
bunch of extra work. So if we want to just go with giving away bird feeders and bags,
Hey, Dawn, to your point about tree saplings, I think in 2018 or something, our town
Yep.
wanted people to start monitoring and advising.
They're still
Yep.
doing.
If they're still doing it, that kind of does play into that. And
it
if we-
does. But you know, Jack, and maybe we won't give them away at the community day event. I'm still gonna pursue the 10 Million Trees
We'll get them to-
Pennsylvania relationship, because yeah, maybe we could do some plantings and they can help source the trees for us. That's what they do. They get you the materials that you need and the caging supplies.
Well, I'm trying to find a happy medium between the two of you. And I think if maybe they signed up at the time for tree saplings, and then we had a date to schedule to pick them up at the town hall
Yeah.
a month later, we could achieve what we want to do and still keep the trees alive.
That makes a lot more sense.
Now you just have to find the trees.
We have
Do
to
the
find the
full-
trees, and then I don't know, Ken, are you like willing to help with that? Like having people being part of the distribution when people come back a month later to pick them up? I mean,
That's not a problem. And you also might want to look at something called Musser Forests.
yeah, I will check that out. I have a couple other contacts as well that I haven't tapped yet, but I will. Musser Forest.
At one time, the largest Christmas tree grower in the world.
Are they going to give us free trees though? Do they work with EACs and do free
They're not
tree
gonna-
donations?
What their business is, but you will be, check it out, look at it.
Okay. Or, I mean, you can check it out. Like I can research a couple options. You could research some options. I mean, I don't want to have to do all the work here.
Check out Musser, see if it meets what you're trying to do.
So are we talking about this as giveaways for this coming September? Or is this for some future event?
No,
No, I-
in the future, I don't have any trees to give anybody in September.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let's kind of hang on to that thought. But we've got a lot going on, and let's focus on the, the things we've thrown at Dawn already tonight.
She's got big shoulders.
But no, that's a great idea, and we can keep that one in mind. Okay,
You already have NAC doing that.
is that it for our community outreach for this month? If so, next up, just miscellaneous items, McMail tips once again. Dawn, you're just gonna stop coming to meetings. I know I had, you were next up on the alphabetical list last month.
Oh, okay.
I never did call you and tell you that, so I went ahead and did it myself.
Oh, thank you.
Do you think you can put together some tips?
Okay, so I need it to be less than so many words. I'll just write about, can I just write about an invasive plant or two, like the poison hemlock or something, maybe something like that to warn people?
Stiltweeds.
I'll write about the stiltweed. I can write about the knotweed.
And honestly,
Okay.
you don't even have to write it yourself. I basically come up with a thought and then I go online, and plenty of people have informational
Mhm.
materials out there that I
Yep.
condense and put in there. So if
I mean,
you're,
is that good? I'll just put something in there about some invasive.
that's perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
John, when do I owe that to you by?
Okay, let me look on the calendar real quick.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Say probably the 27th,
27th or 22nd? I'm sorry.
27th, 2 weeks. from now.
27.
And Dawn, sometimes on those tips, if you provide like an email link where someone can go and get more information on invasive, that's kind of a good little trick that we've done in the past is.
Oh,
you
that
know,
would be amazing, because then they can see the plants that I'm talking about.
Right, right.
Okay,
Yep.
good. I can include a link to a site. Can
Okay.
I include any pictures or no? Just the text and a link?
No
You can do
pictures.
if you want, we can work it out. I can work it out.
Oh, can you do pictures?
Yeah,
Ooh,
look at, yeah, it can be done.
I'll be honest, I'm sorry. I don't read that.
No, I thought we had been told that we couldn't do graphics,
No, we can do some graphics.
some
Yeah, I
graphics.
just don't want to
Okay,
be too heavy because it is an online newsletter, email
Right.
newsletter, so it's already long enough.
right. I know
If
that's,
there's something interesting, we can put it in there. for sure.
okay. Thank you very much.
Picture's worth 1,000 words.
Okay.
If you can publish it big enough to see what it is, I'm looking at it on my phone, so. All right, thank you very much, Dawn.
That's a good point. People have
A
to,
lot of yeah,
Yeah.
you're
That's why it's best just to go to the website.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, next up, just an update on our EAC openings. We had one deadline already for the 3 existing members who are up for, whose positions, I guess, are up for reappointment. So we'll be scheduling some interviews, hopefully later this month. Plus, there is the other remainder of Jonathan's position that has also been advertised, and that's currently advertised now, right?
Yeah,
The deadline has already passed for the first 3 positions. There's one more that it's, I guess, 2 years remaining
yeah. it'd be 2
on that
years.
term.
didn't someone ask to fill that?
One of our applicants said that he would prefer to be considered for that 2-year term than a 4-year term. So, yes. So we'll be working through that, hopefully have some answers shortly. Refill our committee. But I'm happy to say our 3 existing members have all reapplied. So hoping for good things there. All right, any other topics that we need to add for next month? We've got a list of other things. I know some of Tony's topics that I'm sure he'll update us next time he's here. But other than that, Jack, you're up. Report from town council.
Well, I did mention to town council about the recycling tour.
Mm-hmm.
I guess no one's bit, but I was hoping they would.
Yeah.
Jason's already been on the tour. It's just as well worth it.
Right.
It was a good tour.
We'll definitely try to make it if possible. The town has selected a replacement for Bob Grimm,
Oh, okay.
and the offer letter will go out tomorrow.
Mhm.
We expect to be able to vote on it at the town council meeting on the 25th.
Okay.
And it's sometime mid-August. By mid-August, we should have them in place.
Excellent.
So we're moving very fast.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
very good.
That's about it for town council.
Okay. All right. We have any other topics to discuss? Good. 9 o'clock, excellent. So we,
Yeah.
we have anyone move to, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much. Dawn, I'll be in touch. It sounds like there's a few things we need to work
Yep.
through.